Nellie nutgraf, Chapter 9. Finally, at last, when it seemed like she would never get there, eventually, just before she gave up with her last ounce of strength, Nellie got to the top of Mount Magmatch and walked into little bitty uninhabitable, except for the fact that the streets were desert. It looked exactly like it did when she had been there for the town hall meeting. "This is an outrage," Nellie shouted to nobody. "It doesn't look like anything's going on here at all." Then the volcano exploded. Little bitty Impotable was blown into a million little bitty pieces. Mount Magmatch was cracked in half. School bus loads of red-hot magma were flung into the sky. So was Nellie. She shot so high in the air, she wasn't sure if she'd ever come down. Now, some folks might be scared, but Nellie was overjoyed. "This is my lucky break," she shouted to herself as she was hurled into the stratosphere, the new scoop of a lifetime. She started typing the story while she was still going up. She just wished she had a dictionary to look up how to spell igneous rock. Or is it igneous? Or maybe igneous? By the time she was 4 miles in the air, she had stopped going up and was starting to fall back down to certain death. But she had finished her story. She pulled the paper out of her typewriter and folded it up in the shape of an airplane. She animated carefully and threw it toward her newspaper office. 4 miles down and 252 miles away in Big City. It was a great shot, propelled by volcanic gusts. The airplane flew over Morris, Buffett, Linda's Cave, Ben Franklin's workshop, Valley Forge, the Statue of Liberty, and right into the streets of Big City. Somehow, it actually took a left turn on East 88th Street and headed straight for the office of the Big City Big News. But at the very last second, just as the paper airplane was about to fly into her editor's open window, President Abraham Lincoln came walking out of the 88th Street pastrami shop. He had just eaten a big pastrami sandwich. He belched. The belch was so strong it knocked the airplane off course, right into the office of the other big newspaper, the New York Herald. The New York Herald printed an article immediately and sold thousands of papers. Hot story, up close and personal with the exploding volcano. Nellie's paper, the Big City Big News, missed the story and didn't sell a single paper that day. The big headline was Medical Miracle. Boy puts band-aid on big toe. Brian, the editor, and Hotshot Trubleski blubbered like babies. But what about Nellie? Well, luckily for her, Paul Bunyan got up early that morning to eat some giant pancakes, and even more luckily, I read the Big City Big News and the New York Herald. I read all about how she was writing for way up in the sky and heading back to Earth at full speed. I threw down the paper and ran outside just in time to catch her in one hand and her typewriter in the other. "Thanks," said Nellie. "Now, can I ask you a few questions?" "Sure thing." I said. But maybe you need to read the latest issue of the Big City Big News first. Looks like you're not a reporter anymore. What? She hollered. I showed her the paper. Help wanted. Reporter needed to replace ex-reporter who blew it. Ex-reporter? This is an outrage, shouted Nellie. I suggested she eat a giant pancake to take her mind off her troubles. No, thank you, Paul Bunyan. She said, what I really need is a ride back to the city, fast. I told her we could ride Babe the Blue Ox into town. It took Babe about 2 minutes to get us there, and Nellie asked me questions the whole way. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Babe, she said as we dropped her off on 88th Street. Mind if I get a picture? Sure, I said. Just let me put on my hat. Moo, said Babe, which is ox for just let me put on my hat. Click! Nellie got a picture of me and Babe waving goodbye. Then she stormed into the newspaper office. Chapter 10. See more on Chapter 10.